We're gonna hang out here for a couple minutes. We're getting the live start here at 5:59, so we don't really dig into it too much until about 6:05. Um, you're gonna notice everything's a little bit different today. It's because I'm shooting from home. It's the weekend, and my son absolutely loves swimming, so we just got out of the pool, throw on some throw on some clothes, did the hair really quick, and we're gonna go live. So again, we're just going to hang out here for a minute. If anyone has questions about real estate deals or buying, that's the general idea for these lives. We are going to be going over specifically 55 plus in honor of our subject of the month this month, which is 55 plus. But if you are not 55 plus, or if you are just a general member of the public, we can look at any deal, but we're going to look at them after we discuss 55. So that'll be in a little bit and only upon request. If nobody wants to see it, if nobody's in the live and engaging, then we're just going to do our 55 and move on. So again, we're just going to hang out here for 5 minutes-ish. And so while we're hanging out, normally I kind of close the screen and do other things, but we're more or less ready to go. So how about we just talk for a couple minutes? So I'm looking for some input from you guys. For these lives, I'm wondering what you would like to see because from my perspective, it is my opportunity to chat with you guys direct for at least a half an hour to an hour once a week and just generally have an open forum and an open place to talk um, and just get all of your questions out of the way. On your guys' side, it's pretty anonymous, right? Like, I guess you could use a login, that's your name or something like that. But you could absolutely chat using whatever info you want. We're not trying to like lead capture or do anything crazy like that. So it's supposed to be my opportunity to serve our community. And so let me know what you guys want. Should we be doing different times, different days, different subjects? I'm more than happy to kind of give you guys whatever you're looking to get out of these lives. I want to make them engaging for you and worthwhile for you. Okay. Now, on top of that, let's talk about subjects. We're doing these lives and all of my content in general, looking at a different subject every single month. This month we're doing seniors, but next month we're going to be doing what are we doing next month? We're doing short sales and foreclosures. So, I'm interested to know like, would you prefer if we do a different subject every month so you kind of get a huge variety of content? Or do you prefer us to come home and the dog fur is just everywhere, everywhere. But would you prefer if we did just one subject all the time? Maybe we do nothing but first-time home buyers and first-time sellers and just rotate through that, make the same content. I've seen some people do that and be really successful because their content is reliably the same stuff. But I've felt like if I do the same thing forever, it gets really repetitive. Like we can only do how to sell your home for more so many times before it just isn't fun anymore, right? Or like analyzing deals. Again, it's cool, but when we can do these different subjects, now it kind of becomes worth it, right? So let's get some of these buttons back up on here that make us look fancy and show off who we are, right? Um, mm, mm, mm. Get our beekeeping logo back up. So then we got all our stuff all about us everywhere. Um, so again, we got 2 minutes. So if anyone has questions, please, please, please let me know. I'm just curious to see what you guys want, right? I want to know how to serve you guys and how to make content that you'll think is really interesting and think is helpful. So aside from that, we're going to try in this senior month to get a couple more interviews in. I want to try to get at least one more done by the end of the month. We're also going to have that senior guide that we were handing out or that we showed off in the last live with Angela. So if you know anyone that is 55 plus and thinking about downsizing, moving, in some way transitioning to a different home or different period of life, let me know. I've got a lot of cool stuff for them. It's no obligation. Again, we're just here to take care of our community, right? So without further ado, oh my goodness, animal floof in everything. Um, so without further ado, let's talk about buying a home as a senior and how we can find the deals. Now, Ventura County here is relatively specific in our senior communities. We've got two main things. These dogs are killing me. I'm pulling out just like foot-long hairs. They need to get groomed. It's too hot for this. Um, so when we're looking at senior communities in Ventura County, there are some options that don't fit into these cases, but there's really two separate cases. Okay, the two main that I highly recommend. So let's do this guy, share our screen. Let's do our window, this one, share. All right, so when we're looking at senior housing, what you'll notice is we've got, if we look at 55 plus mobile homes, there are a lot of mobile homes to pick from. There's a tremendous number of communities. I'm actually going to change this really quick because we're only looking at active. If we look at closed instead over the last several months, you can see there's communities littered all over the county. I believe Camarillo has 3 senior communities. Newbury Park has 2. One isn't even showing up. Is one not showing up? No, that one's showing up. So Camarillo's got, yeah, it looks too close together. But this one here and this one here is both in Newbury Park. So there's tons of manufactured home communities all over. Now, here's my big issue with manufactured homes, okay? If we just look at these at random, if they work, let's just take this first one and look at the detail on it. My issue with them is they always either have an HOA or a land lease. In this case, it looks like it's probably land lease. Okay, they're calling it HOA. The HOA fee is $361. Now, that is way, way, way better than what we see in under 55 or everyone parks, because everyone parks are typically over $1,000. I've seen them as high as $2,000 in certain communities. So at that point, for most people, if your budget's tight enough that you need to look at manufactured homes, um, just rent. You know, you're better off not spending the $100,000 on the home plus being on the hook for all the repairs. I know there is an argument that you'd get some equity, but So, you know, for manufactured homes, I'm just not nuts for them because of the HOA fees. It's more reasonable, but the amenities just aren't fantastic. I'd almost rather see you rent something personally. So, you know, I know there's going to be a lot of conflict, a lot of different ideas on those, but like, again, we just pull up this one. Um, HOA fee is 310, so that's pretty reasonable. That's not too bad, right? But you're still on the hook for the repairs and the maintenance. And most of these manufactured homes are pretty old. This one's pretty new. It's only 1981. A lot of these are from the 70s, but most of these manufactured homes start having problems, um, give or take, once they're 30 to 40 years old, especially the older models. Newer manufactured homes, I would argue, are built sometimes better than regular houses. So manufactured homes built after like 2015-ish are oftentimes really, really good, but we almost never come across those. Like if I'm just clicking through these and we're looking like 1972, 2011, that's a newer one. So, and with these older manufactured homes, they also are hard to finance. A lot of times they're all cash. So, like in some cases, for like a $50,000 one, maybe it does make sense to pay all cash. But most of the good ones are 449, built in 1981. So financing is going to be hard. I would rather see you spend that money on something else. Because even with the HOA fee at, yes, monthly, where are we at 310, it's not that much less money than some of the other communities that I'd really, really like. So if we're looking at not manufactured homes, what you'll notice is that while there are, well, let's use the same thing as we just said. Let's look at sold so we can really get a good idea of what's around, right? So active, let's look at closed. So again, you'll notice that there's some littered around, right? But the vast majority, aside from again like one, there's like 3 there. Oh, there's quite a few there. I don't know what that community is. Oh, I know them. I've actually never done a deal in that community, if we're being honest. Um, what even are these? Are these houses? Condos? Houses. Okay. So there's going to be a couple main communities when we go back to our search here. Okay. For the vast majority of seniors, I highly recommend this community right here, which is Leisure Village, or this community right here, which is Hueneme Bay. There also is a decent selection here in these houses. I don't remember what this community is called. It's called, I'm sure they'll say it in the property description. Peaceful senior living is best. Don't you hate when realtors don't put in what the community is called? That's crazy. Uh, let's see. Pick another one at random. It shocks me that people don't put the community, especially for senior communities, because a lot of people are looking specifically at the at communities. They're not looking at the homes. Camarillo Springs. There we go. Camarillo Springs. So really, those are going to be the three main categories that I would pick through. I would look at either Camarillo Springs, Leisure Village, or Hueneme Bay. Not to say these other communities aren't good. This one's popping off pretty good, but these are going to be the main ones. So when we're looking for senior housing, the main things we want to consider are geography, where you're going to be, the amenities, and the price of housing. So for almost all senior housing, it's going to be cheaper than non-senior housing, okay? For the same thing, apples to apples. So once you're over 55, it's very common to want to be in these communities because it's cheaper and you get a bunch of cool free stuff. You get a big sense of community. Some people don't like senior communities because they're convinced that they're not old yet, which again I can understand. But we're not going to talk about those folks for downsizing because they're going to fit into just the normal communities, right? So for the most part, I try to aim my folks Leisure Village or Hueneme Bay. Now, if they want something else, there's all kinds of stuff. So let's take a look at this list here. Let's go back to our active because we're going to pretend as though we're looking for a client right now. So we do have one over here, you know, and if we look at just the details on this guy, it's still $580,000. The issue is that some of these have stairs. This is a ground level unit, which is good, but I don't really know about what amenities they have. As far as I know, there's not much. Obviously, the inside's pretty. We're not talking about the inside too much. Is that a pool in the backyard? So they clearly have a pool. It's a community pool. Yeah, community pool right in the backyard. And they don't really show off much else here. So I'm not sure there's really any amenities. On the other hand, when we look at the details here for the HOA, it's 433, right? So when we compare that to, say, Leisure Village, and keep in mind Leisure Village has a wide selection of places, but this one is a little bit cheaper. 2 bed, 2 bath compared to, what was this? 2 bed, 2 bath, 1100. 1300. So you can actually get a bigger space in Leisure Village for the same price. The HOA fee is 614, so it's an extra like 200 bucks a month, but you get so much for that $200. So, you know, for most folks, unless they really desperately don't want a sense of community or to have community events and things like that, we're probably looking Leisure Village or Hueneme Bay. Now, when we're looking at Leisure Village and Hueneme Bay, the two big questions. First of all, do you want to be in Camarillo or do you want to be in Port Hueneme? Some people hate Port Hueneme because they don't want to be really deep in Oxnard like that and in Port Hueneme. But the thing I love about Hueneme Bay is it's like 2 blocks from some of the most luxurious housing in all of Ventura County. I mean, this is the beach. This is, you know, Channel Islands Beach here and everything that goes on right here on Silver Strand. Like, this is the place to be, right? This is luxury housing. So for a very affordable price, you can be right next door to the ocean and some of the nicest stuff in town. And Hueneme Bay tends to be a little bit cheaper than Leisure Village. Now, on the other hand, if you just don't want to be in Oxnard, the beach doesn't really appeal to you, you really want to have, you know, a higher end community because let's be honest, Leisure Village is a little bit newer. It's a little bit nicer. Stuff there is just kept up a little bit more. That's why the HOA fee is a little higher and the price is a little higher. Then I would look over here in Leisure Village, right? So when it comes to my clients, for the most part, the people that are really drawn to Leisure Village are people that want more amenities, more stuff going on, more of a sense of community. Hueneme Bay tends to be people that want to be more left alone and floating at the beach. Okay, so now that we've kind of narrowed down the communities, one of the things that I want you to kind of keep in mind is that our market here, I'm just going to check for questions, no questions. So our market here has changed. I helped a fellow, I love you for watching, his name's Jay. I helped Jay buy a home in Hueneme Bay not too long ago. And at the time, there was absolutely nothing for sale. And now there's 7 properties at the same time. So senior markets and the senior communities are having, I'm breaking things, are much less competitive than they were a year ago. So if you are 55 plus and looking to move, the selection right now is incredible. Whereas before we had to fight over getting one, now there's a ton. So for now, let's break it down like this. Let's look at just Leisure Village, Hueneme Bay, because those are going to be the 2 main choices here. Okay. Now, when we're looking at these communities, it might not be super obvious to you guys which community we're looking at. So anything that says village and then a number, so like this 3,000, 3 million, 30,000, 30,008 village 30, that's going to be in Leisure Village. The stuff in Hueneme Bay tends to be green. So Fiesta green, Elfin green, those are going to be the houses or homes out in Hueneme Bay. And by the way, guys, again, it's summertime. We're shooting from home, so there may be kids and dogs and things running around. It is what it is. It's summertime. So so as we look at these, we've got a couple of things that most people are going to really be interested in. First of all, price. What the heck is that? How did that sneak in? That's interesting. Hold on. Let's see where this is on the map. That is a different thing altogether. We're going to pretend that one doesn't exist. I don't know what that one is. Let's take a look, actually. It's interesting. As long as I got you guys here and we're playing with this. Luxurious residence offering breathtaking vistas. Well, for over double the price, it better be pretty cool. Actually, wait, let's go back to detail. 3,000 square feet, 55 plus. How interesting. I'd never seen this community before. I didn't know that we had senior community homes at $2 million. It's big and beautiful too. Aside from this one luxury home, as you can see, Leisure Village typically is going to be on the higher end at 700. This one in Hueneme Bay is 700 as well. It's a standalone house. So in both Hueneme Bay and Leisure Village, you're going to see stuff ranging from houses that are standalone to condos, right? So with this variation of super tiny condos, you're going to see much more on the lower price. Like down here, this is probably a super small Camarillo Springs. You're going to see super small condos. Let's see. How small do we get? Yeah, 951 square feet. In Leisure Village, which I'm surprised because usually Hueneme Bay is more affordable, but right now looks like we have just too many homes in Leisure Village. So now that I'm looking at this, I'm going to go ahead and say if you're looking, I don't know if there's ever been a better time in the last like 3 years to buy in Leisure Village. Leisure Village, I haven't seen cheaper than Hueneme Bay almost ever. So this is really, really cool. But that aside, you're going to notice that the higher price range is typically more standalone houses. It's typically more space. And that's the big difference, can be the space. Now, when we compare the two communities, Hueneme Bay looks like HOA is around 319, and Leisure Village is like 644, and that's going to scale down for the more affordable houses. At least it should. Yeah, 496 for Leisure Village compared to 319 for Hueneme Bay. So you're looking at not quite double. Not quite double the price for the HOA, but you get so much more. So if we were to start looking at these and figuring out, like, for the most part, we want someone to move into something turnkey. It's not that like there's anything wrong with fixing up a home, but especially seniors don't want to move into something that needs work. And even this cheapest one in Leisure Village is turnkey. Like that's great. When we're looking at homes like this, a lot of people are like, we have to redo the cabinets. Like I keep telling you guys every single month, don't redo the cabinets, paint them. Just sand and paint them. They'll look brand new. It's super cheap. Um, it's the way to go. You got okay. Some things we can't really fix, like the countertops. We should probably we might have to replace the countertops if we want that to look nice. But overall, for the most affordable unit, aside from this one in Camarillo Springs, um, that's pretty nice. And keep in mind as well, out here in Ventura County, you really can't get anything um, for much cheaper than this, right? Even for $475, that's a pretty decent price. No pictures on that guy. I'd assume it's probably a contractor special, right? So overall, these are all turnkey and looking great, which is again something that's weird. We haven't seen that last couple of years. We used to see a lot more flips and homes that needed work. The homes out in Miami Bay also have a really weird thing about them. Let's see if I can show you guys. So it's typically like a main unit, and it's typically like 1 or 2 bedrooms. Then it has this kind of like patio area that's really pretty. And then it usually has, let me see if I can kind of find it. It usually has another unit attached. So like in the garage, there's another unit that's like separate and standalone. So there's usually multiple units. This is the clubhouse for Hueneme Bay. Both Hueneme Bay and Leisure Village have little golf courses and all kinds of other things to do. So one of the biggest draws, especially now that the prices seem to be kind of in line. I mean, we can look at 565 in Leisure Village versus 565 in Hueneme Bay. Again, that's unheard of. I haven't seen that in the last 3 or 4 years. Usually Hueneme Bay is quite a bit cheaper. So if we're comparing apples to apples here, 565 in Hueneme Bay gets you a little over 1,200 square foot living area, 3-bed, 2-bath, compared to Leisure Village, 1,300 square foot, 2-bed, 2-bath. Again, the reason that Hueneme Bay has that extra bath is because it usually has a extra unit. So there's, 2-bed, like a master bath, primary bath, whatever, and a like regular bath in the main unit, plus an extra bath in the guest house that's like private as well. So I mean, apples to apples, they're about the same. The biggest difference we're looking at is a $600 HOA fee compared to a $300 HOA fee. So, again, the biggest draw here is going to be what community you want, what amenities you want, and all of those types of aspects. Now, when it comes to figuring out if these are a good deal, I mean, there's 2 parts to this, right? So some people like really want to get a good deal, just to have a good deal. And then there's a level of, well, if you're paying 565, which community makes more sense? And right now with our market, these seem pretty in line with each other. But what the heck? Let's figure out if this is a good deal. Let's see what's going on. So for me, you don't want to use your Zestimates because that didn't work. You don't use Zestimates because Zestimates have a habit of being very wrong. So the thing with Zestimates is that it more or less pulls a bunch of houses in the neighborhood, and it usually compares based on average price per square foot, which in senior communities especially, it can mess it up. And I'll show you exactly why right now. So we're looking at Leisure Village, and you'll notice all these comparatives that my computer is pulling up. They're not all in Leisure Village, right? These houses out here are not in Leisure Village. So what we really need to do is we need to be very careful that we're only pulling the houses on this side of Santa Rosa in the community, okay? So we're gonna take our little art tool here, and we're gonna go up and down Santa Rosa Road, make sure that we're only pulling these houses that are inside of the community. Because if we're not looking at Leisure Village homes, it's not going to be apples to apples, right? And typically when we're doing our comps, we don't want to have, because this is way too many. This is way too many. This is like 60. So we want to narrow this down to give or take around 10, right? Now this one was a 2 bedroom. It was 2 bedroom. Let's look at our square footage. Let's bring this down to 10% and see how many we have left. Still a lot. Now let's look at our close date because we want to kind of see, because the senior communities seem to be changing more rapidly than other communities are. So this is quite a few comparatives: 7 sold, 4 pending, 6 active. We don't care so much about the active. We care much more about the sold. So that gives 11 and 4. So that makes sense to me. So let's take a look at what we think this home should be worth. So it says the average of closed comps was 598. We're priced at 539. So, this might actually be a really good deal. Let's see, because we're priced at 539, right? Sorry, hop back over to core present. We don't care so much about actives. Seeing the actives is cool, but it more, you care about it more as a seller than as a buyer. As a buyer, you do want to see which house is the best deal and kind of compare like that. But in terms of this part, figuring out what it's worth, we want to look more at probably the sold. Even pending can be a little bit helpful because we're looking at pendings. Those are pending at 539, 519, 539, 519, right? So the asking price on these is substantially lower than the asking price, right? But if we're looking at closed, we got 679, 515, 699, 612. So for fun here, let's look at one that's also 539. We have one that's pretty close. I think our closest is our 522 here. So is this one also turnkey? It's about the same size. Is it exactly the same size? We've got living area 56 square feet smaller. And it's looking pretty good inside. Again, not painted cabinets, but that's not the end of the world. I really would spend a little bit of energy to get it repainted and make it look nice. It doesn't take much. Nice new countertops, right? So when we compare that to this one at 539, this one with no pictures. I hope I picked the one with pictures. It seems about in line, give or take. So, maybe the one we're looking at is $10,000 overpriced, which again, grand scheme of things, who cares? Offer them 522, right? So right now, I'm going to be honest, while I normally go through these deals piece by piece, from what I'm seeing right now, it seems like Hueneme Bay is probably a little bit high, and Leisure Village is a little bit low. They've got way too much inventory. So I don't think you can go too wrong with any of the selections in Leisure Village right now. Maybe some of these ones that are up here might be dreamers, and we can always take a look, like we're seeing price reduced. But if we look at this as a list view, they're having a tough time selling these. Like this one's been on for 74 days, 38 days, 33, 81 days, right? 191 days at $539, $539,000. It's like, what's wrong with it? It looks fine. Do we have something really messed up here? Moving ready. Yeah. So, I mean, in terms of analyzing the deals for these, I'm a little less interested. It looks like you can just get a deal. I don't think we have to hunt so hard for them like we did, several months ago. Again, I helped a really kind, awesome gentleman not too long ago. Well, let me see. Let's hide this. Not too long ago, last year, last year or the year before, I forget already. I think it was last year. And at the time, my gosh, we had bidding wars, and like it was like, do you want it or not? This is the price. And now, pick what you want, get a good deal. So if you are looking at senior housing, right now is the time. And if you have any questions, again, let me know. I'm happy to help out. But if I were doing senior housing, I would look first at Leisure Village, then at Wainini Bay. I think you can't go wrong with either one. It seems like most of the listings are pretty competitive, pretty low, all things considered. And I think that you can get away with probably asking quite a bit or offering quite a bit less than asking and still get a good deal. So if you guys need anything else in the whole wide world, you know what to do. Call Castro, and I'll catch you next time. I'm going to get back to the pool and to the barbecue.